Okay. All right. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We begin with Allah's blessed name. We praise Him and we glorify Him. Be and glorified. And we pray for peace and for blessings on all His noble messengers, and in particular on the last of them all, the blessed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, as I greet you from my native island of Trinidad in the Caribbean with Ramadan Kareem. Ramadan Kareem. This is the first time that we're doing this live recording with people calling in. Um, and we don't know whether we are technically up to mark for this, but we'll see how this one will proceed. I hope we can stop after half an hour, but we see whether we can um, stop at half an hour, whether we have to go on beyond that. We've had a number of um, queries concerning when does Ramadan begin. So before we take your questions and your comments, I won't be able to um, uh, answer all questions on this, but let me at least make a brief comment to remind you that our Prophet, Allah's blessings be upon him, and told us that the month sometimes has 29 days and sometimes 30 days, and that is how it will remain forever and ever for us. He says, he said to Aisha, radiallahu ta'ala anha, he says, Aisha, sometime the month has 29 days and sometime it has 30 days, and no one, no one is going to change that. No. You want to change that? Then go with your bid'ah on your own road and leave us alone. With us, the month will sometimes have 29 days and sometimes 30 days, and that will never change for us. Let me give you a warning. Let me give you a warning. Those of you who are acting on Dajjal's behalf and who want to universalize time for us so that the world of Islam can be incorporated in a global society in which there'll be one system of time and it'll operate like clockwork so that all of mankind can be electronically interconnected, and therefore the surveillance apparatus can operate perfectly when all of mankind are plugged in. But we do not have that system of time in Islam. Allah gave us a system of time which cannot be universalized. The deaf, the dumb, and the blind who cannot think or who don't want to think cannot understand that. But the rest of us can do it. It is a system of time which cannot be universalized. Why? Because we have to wait until the 29th day of the month has come to an end before we can know whether or not the month will continue for one more day or the month will end at the end of the 29th day. Oh, Sheikh, oh, Sheikh, oh, Sheikh, we live in the modern age. We have modern science and technology and blah, 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 blah. Yes, this is not going to change. You take your blah blah and go your way. Modern science and technology cannot change the movement of the clouds. Allah can send clouds and He can take clouds away. And so this imprecision will continue gloriously slow. Gloriously so, this imprecision will continue in order to block the just global society with a global system of time. Having said that, if you saw the moon, then you can start the month of Ramadan. Once you've seen the moon, a valid sighting of the moon, the month of Ramadan has started. And if the moon was not sighted, then the month will continue for one more day. That, that one more day in the end of the month of Shaban is called Yawm Shak, the day of doubt. And we are prohibited, prohibited from fasting on that day. So if you did not see the moon, if the moon was not seen anywhere in Britain, and you still fasted on Yawmul Jum'ah because of a bogus declaration from Saudi Arabia, you have committed a sin. You have said goodbye to the system of time in Islam. You have lost your Laylatul Qadr, because when the angel comes down to check and the angel sees you started Ramadan on the wrong day, you don't have any Laylatul Qadr anymore. But if you did it by mistake, then make tawbah and make a promise that this mistake will not happen again, and pray that Allah might accept your tawbah, and now fast in accordance with our fasting. How many days have fasted so far? This is the second day of Ramadan here in Trinidad, because we did not see the moon on Laylatul Jummah, and therefore we did not fast on Yawmul Jummah. But in San Diego, San Diego in California, which is a long, long, long distance away from us, it is reported that they saw the moon in San Diego. And if therefore they saw the moon in San Diego, then they are prepared. They are entitled that the month of Ramadan has commenced for them. But if you are in Edmonton, would a sighting of the moon in San Diego be applicable for you in Edmonton? That's a different subject we can postpone to another day. Now let's take your questions. Hello? Anybody there?
You can't hear them.
No?
No, no, you can't hear them. You have to read. But I'll tell you some of the questions.
Okay.
Kindly share your views regarding Islamic banking and Islamic economics.
Can you, which country is this? Where?
I don't know. It just says Zubair Tahir.
Okay. Can you kindly share your views on Islamic banking and Islamic economics? Number one, Islamic banking today is one in which they are lending money on interest, but not through the front door, they're doing it through the back door. They're saying that a credit price, do you hear me?
Yes.
A credit price can be higher than a cash price. A credit price can be higher than a cash price. False. That is false. Credit price and cash price must be the same. If credit price is higher than cash price or market price, then the difference between the two will be because of time. Time equals money. That is riba. Islamic banks around the world, they say no, it's murabaha, a transaction in which both the buyer and the seller are aware of the profit margin. Murabaha transactions are halal on the condition
Okay.
that they are cash transactions.
Abu, they can't hear you because of the mic. So you need to keep this in.
Murabaha transactions are halal on the condition that they are cash transactions. If the transaction is not cash, if it is a credit transaction and the credit price is higher than the cash price, it's not murabaha anymore, it's riba.
Abu, this is the mic. Hold this. This. Hold it.
Then the next question is on Islamic economics. And at the heart of Islamic economics is the market. And at the heart of the market is a free and a fair market. A free and a fair market is one in which there are no obstacles and no privileges for entry into the market. And a fair market is one in which you do not have anything bogus in the market. A free and a fair market. When a free and a fair market exists, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can intervene. And when He intervenes, He can cause some to get more and others to get less. This is because all transactions in the market will qualify as business transactions. And in order to qualify as a business transaction, it must entail risk. You can either make a profit or you can suffer loss. And from the time you embrace risk, you can take a chance. Allah now intervenes and gives to some and takes from others. وَيَرْزُقُ مَن يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ, and He can give whosoever He wants as much as He wants. And so the rich will not remain permanently rich, and the poor will not remain permanently poor. Around the world today, the market is quite different. Around the world today, the free and the fair market no longer exists. And as a consequence, the rich of the world are now permanently rich forever and ever and ever. And the masses are poor and growing poorer and going down into destitution and poverty, permanent poverty. And this is oppression. This is oppression. If we want to restore the Islamic economy, we have to restore the free and the fair market. It is not a fair market when you have bogus money. That's not a fair market. Bogus money in which you can print the money, and when you print it out of thin air, it's demanded all over the world. You can buy whatever you want free of charge. And when we also want to play the fool and we print the same money, we take a whole basket full of our money. We can't even buy a cup of tea in Manhattan. That's not fair. Huh? What kind of a bogus system is that which favors you and doesn't and denies us anything? This is the monetary system today. If you want to have a free and a fair market and restore the economy that Islam has ordained, you have to restore real money, which is gold and silver coins. If you want to restore a real free and a fair market and a real economy of Islam, you cannot have people being able to plant, uh, people who do not plant and yet they reap. In the free and a fair market and a Islamic economy, if you want to reap, you have to plant. If you don't plant, you don't reap. But in today's economy, they are not planting and they're reaping more than anybody else. How is it? How is it that the bank is not planting and the bank is reaping because of riba? How? Answer: they are reaping what others are planting. They're living off the sweat of others. And so an Islamic economy cannot allow riba. This is my answer to you. I'm sorry I took so much time. Next question.
Okay, one more question. I have a question. Should we need to leave the country, and which country should we move into in order to live in small groups?
It is now impossible to choose any country you want to go to. Huh? How would you go to that country if you don't have a visa? Would you not think? Huh? You you have you have something called state sovereignty now around the world. You have something called territorial sovereignty around the world today. Hmm? You need a visa to enter. And if you enter without a visa and they catch you, they put you in jail, then don't send an email to me, Sheikh Imran, to put me in jail. Uh, don't you know? This is the world today. So it's not a question of which country should I go to. It's a country, which country can you go to? Yeah? You need to get permanent residence or a work permit. I can't answer that question, can I? Is it possible for me to answer that question? If you can get permanent residence, then I would suggest go to any country in the world of Islam and look for the remote countryside. If I had a choice to make, I would go to Pakistan. I studied in Pakistan, okay? But I wouldn't live in Karachi. I wouldn't live in Lahore or in Pindi. I would go to the remote countryside, to the mountainside, Skardu. I go to the places where rain falls, and take with me sheep and goats where I can live, where there is water, where there is land. So this is if I have a choice. But I'm not a citizen of Pakistan. If you can get Pakistani, if you have Pakistani citizenship and you want a place to go and you're in Britain, go back to Pakistan by all means. Until, of course, it becomes too late and then you cannot go anymore. Next question.
May I ask a question about time and space dimensions? How will Dajjal appear into this world? Will he be born into the world or appear into it? Was Adam born into the world or did he appear here?
Let us take one question at a time. Do you mind? Don't ask me 25,000 questions in one, okay? Dajjal have to be born. If he's dropped from the sky, you know, some bird flies by and drops him from the sky, do you think the Jews will accept him as the Messiah? Why don't you think a little bit? The only way they will accept Dajjal as the Messiah is if he's born, not born of a cow, born of a woman. That's right. And not only must he have a mother, he must have a father, and he must be able to trace his ancestors to the house of David, Nabi Dawood alayhi salam. Okay? This is how Dajjal will enter into the world in person. This is called the Khuruj of Dajjal. When he is born, we would not know. I would not know. Don't ask me. As he is born as yet. Don't ask me. I would not know. Huh? You could ask Santa Claus if you want. But don't ask me. We will only know that he is Dajjal. We will only know it when he declares, I am the Messiah. Yes. Has what's his name now? Did Barack Obama ever declare that he's the Messiah? But I got the emails informing me, Sheikh, Barack Obama is Dajjal. Yeah, I got emails. I'm getting emails that, Prince, is it William, the son of Prince Charles in Britain? Sheikh, that's the Dajjal, I don't know where people have gone to study. Where is the thinking process gone? In order for Dajjal to be accepted by the Jews as the Messiah, he has to be a Jew. He can't be a Hindu. He can't be a Muslim. He can't be a Christian. He has to be a Jew. Otherwise, the Jews would not accept him as the Messiah. Now, Dajjal has been released, of course, but it is only after the Great War, the Malhama, and after the Malhama, the conquest of Constantinople. And between these two, which two? The Malhama and the conquest of Constantinople. Between these two, a period of time elapses, which is either 7 months or 7 years. Then, after the conquest of Constantinople, only then will the khuruj of Dajjal take place. After the khuruj of Dajjal takes place, and he declares himself to be the Messiah, his mission is now completed. Only then will Allah cause Nabi Isa alayhi salam to return. Is that so difficult to understand? Hmm? It is only after Dajjal has been really, sorry, the khuruj of Dajjal has taken place. He's born in the world, he's grown up, he's a young man, he's powerfully built, he has curly hair, the curls of the Orthodox Christian, Jews. And he declares from Jerusalem, I am the Messiah, which means that Pax Judaica would have come to an end. It is only then, after that event, only then would Allah send Nabi Isa back into this world, Jesus. And we are told by the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam that the return of Jesus alayhi salam is an event which is contemporaneous with the advent of Imam al Mahdi. Let me repeat that, please. Allow me to repeat that, please. Because you have all kind of wild thinking going on in the world. No, 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 Imam al Mahdi is already born. You know, he's over there, he's over there, he's over there. No, no, he's coming here, he's coming there. Wild thinking, eh? I want to. I, I'm looking forward to the day when I can find mature thinking, not childish thinking, not wishful thinking, mature thinking. The event of the return of Nabi Isa alayhi salam is contemporaneous with the advent of Imam al-Mahdi. How do we know that? The two things occurring at the same time, one before the other, of course. Because our Prophet said, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, he said, Kayfa antum? What a wonderful time that will be. إذا نزل عليكم Maryam, when the son of Mary will descend amongst you. وإمامكم منكم, and at that time, your Imam, that is your Amirul Mu'minin, the Khalifa, is from your own ranks, indicating that prior to that we would have lost the Khilafah state. Prior to that, we could not restore the Khilafah state. Okay? And will be ruled by Tom, Dick, and Harry, but not by a Khalifa. And now, with the advent of Imam al Mahdi, the Islamic State, uh, the Khilafah state, I only know of one Islamic state, okay? Only one. And that is the Khilafah state. I don't know which school you went to, where you could now call Pakistan an Islamic state and call Iran an Islamic. I don't know which school you went to, but the school I went to is the school of the Quran. And the school of the Quran is that there's only one Islamic state, and that is the Khilafah state. And that Khilafah state, that Khilafah state will not sign the charter of the United Nations. As the Khilafah state, a member of the United Nations, and therefore subject to the authority of the Security Council. Give me a chance, let me laugh a little bit. In Islamic State, we'll do that. And when the Security Council says, stand up, the Khilafah state has to stand up. When the Security Council says, sit down, Khilafah state had to sit down. You call that Islamic State? Let me laugh a little bit. It's Ramadan. No, I know only one Islamic State, and that is the Khilafah State. That is the only one I know. I don't know which school you went to, but my school is the Quran. And the Khilafah state will be restored with Imam al Mahdi, because prior to him, it is not minkum. The ruler is not minkum. The one who rules over you today has to obey the law. The law around the whole world is locked down. And all of them have to lock down. If you don't lock down, your money will collapse. Yes. They will they will never forgive you if you don't lock down. All the masajid must close. Yeah. They're struggling now because of the people resenting what they've done. So they don't rule. Somebody ruling over all of them in the world today. This is not minkum. When the Khilafah state is restored, then the Security Council of the United Nations has no authority at all over the state. No one has any authority over the state. No one can tell the state, lock down. No, that is the Khilafah state. If the Khilafah state wants to restore gold and silver coins as money, the International Monetary Fund can do nothing about it. That's a Khilafah state. Hmm? And so the Imam al Mahdi, when he comes, he would be minkum. He would be from our ranks, meaning we've restored sovereignty to the state. Sovereignty belongs to Allah, not not to the people and not to the United Nations. So Imam al Mahdi will not come until the time for Nabi Isa alayhi salam to return. How much time would elapse between the advent of the Imam and the return of Nabi Isa alayhi salam? I am certain it's not going to be 30 years or 20 years or 10 years. I'm certain about that. It will have to be a shorter period of time. Why would Allah send the Imam and yet wait 10 years before He sent Nabi Isa alayhi salam? Why? Is Dajjal going to rule for 10 years or more before Nabi Isa alayhi salam returns? I am of the opinion, therefore, that it is briefly before the return of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, before Jesus comes back. I don't know how long, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. When that time comes, when Jesus is to return, it is just previous to that Imam al Mahdi will be sent into the world. At that time, when the Imam is sent, inshallah, then uh, the confrontation with Dajjal will take place. And at that time, when the confrontation with Dajjal is taking place, then Allah will send down uh, Nabi Isa alayhi salam. Next question.
Um, so according to the recent political conditions in Pakistan, do you think Ghazwa-e-Hind is going to happen anytime soon?
Ghazwatul Hind is a prophecy that Muslims are going to conquer Hind. And the first thing I want to know is, where is Hind today? If you say to me that Hind is India, from what authority are you speaking? When did Hind become India? Was Hind only India before Pakistan came into being? Or before Pakistan came into being, the whole territory of Pakistan and India and Bangladesh was Hind? So why do you change the terminology in 1947? No, 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 that's not Hind anymore. Only this portion is now Hind. which is called India. That's schoolboy stuff. Okay? If we're talking about the conquest of Hind, we have to stay with the definition of Hind, which doesn't change with every passing cloud. So if you say that there is going to be a conquest of Hind in Akhirul Zaman, you have to tell me which is Hind. Is it going to be a conquest of Pakistan? Because Pakistan is a part of Hind. Is it going to be a conquest of Bangladesh? Because Bangladesh is a part of Hind. Yeah? Or are you going to change the terminology in 1947 and say, no, this is no longer Hind? Hmm? What schoolboy stuff is that? I have no comment to make on this hadith because I am already aware that the first conquest of Hind by the Mughals was bogus. I don't know that Islam has this mission to take a sword and conquer the world and force the world to submit to Islam. Hmm? Is that the religion of Islam? The religion of Islam which came into the world even before the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, was born? Don't think that Islam came into the world for the first time when the Prophet والسلام, was born. No, that's the last time that Islam came into the world. Islam has been in the world for long, long, long before that. But you dumb don't know that. You use the word Islam synonymously with the Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. That is the only Islam that you know because that's the school you went to. So what? There are no Muslims before the Prophet was born. There were no Muslims. Hmm? Huh? Who were the followers of Nabi Isa? Oh no no no! There are no more followers of Nabi Isa alayhi salam. But the Quran says something else. Minhum al mu'minun. Minhum al mu'minun. But no, you don't care for the Quran. No, you don't care for the Quran. There are no followers of Jesus anymore in the world. There are no Muslims other than those who follow Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. What a load of rubbish! Huh? The the what was the question?
Ghazwa Hind.
Yes, the conquest of India, sorry, of Hind, which occurred with the Mongols, was an invasion, a military invasion. It had nothing to do with Islam, and that cannot be attributed to Islam. It was in conflict with Islam. And if that is what happened the first time, now you want to do it a second time? Hmm? Is that what you want? A further second conquest of Hind? Hmm? You're talking about a conquest of Hindu India. That's what you're talking about. Hindu India. And for you, Hindu India is Hind. Hindu India is Hind for you. That's what you want to do. I have a lecture to deliver after Ramadan, inshallah, on Kashmir, the way forward. Mm. And in that lecture, I intend to analyze the situation now existing and provide guidance, particularly for Indian Muslims. For Indian Muslims, what is the way forward? Which of these two is correct? The first one, no, no, Hindus and Muslims are two separate nations, and Hindus and Muslims cannot live together. And therefore, we have to separate from them. Is that the correct one? Is that valid? Or is this one correct? It is possible for Hindus and Muslims to live together as a family, and our future strategy in India is to seek to build small communities in the remote countryside where Hindus and Muslims can show the world that they can live together in peace and in harmony, in mutual respect, and as a family. If the second one is correct, then there is hope for the Muslims of India. But in order for them to pursue this second one, they have to repudiate the first one. But it is impossible for Hindus and Muslims to live together, so we have to part from them. This I'm speaking not to Pakistan. These words of mine have no relevance to Pakistan. I'm talking about the predicament and the plight, the terrible plight of Indian Muslims today, and offering them a ray of sunshine, offering them guidance. Ghazwatul Hind has nothing to do with the plight of Indian Muslims today. There's something better than that, and that is to show to Hindu India that it is possible for Hindus and Muslims to live together in the remote countryside, not in the cities, in the remote countryside, in small communities with mutual respect for each other, living as a family. Thank you.
Next question. I think this is related to what's happening right now. If you started your fast on the wrong date, one day earlier than moon sighting, what can you do to correct yourself so they don't miss Laylatul Qadr?
Number one, if the moon was sighted and you then started the fast, you've done the correct thing. We cannot all start the fast on the same day. No, because then we're going to have a universal system of time, which is what Dajjal wants. But Allah does not want that. He gave us another system of time where it is not possible, Alhamdulillah, for all of us to commence the start of Ramadan on the same day. So once you saw the moon and you started the fast, you've done the right thing. If you did not see the moon, no one saw the moon in your geographical or social area, then the obligation is to remain to stay for one more day in the month of Shaban. You are prohibited, prohibited from fasting on the 30th day of Shaban, the day of Shak, of doubt. If you fasted on that day, the moon was not seen. There was no valid sighting of the moon. Remember, the sighting of the moon is crucially important for the system of time in Islam, not any mathematical calculation. Allah says in the Quran, وَأَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَهِلَّةِ. And they question thee, O Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, about the hilal. My hilal will be different from yours and will be different from his because the earth is not flat, the earth is round. Yes, we come back to that another time. So it's ahilla, not hilal, not singular, plural. And he said, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَهِلَّةِ. And they question thee about the hilal, this one and that one and that one. قُلْ هِيَ مَوَاقِيتُ لِلنَّاسِ وَالْحَجِّ. Tell them that the hilal is at the heart of the system of time that Allah will ordain for mankind. And so the sighting of the moon is crucially important for us because it is at the heart of our system of time. It is only when we're living within our world of time that nur can come from other worlds of time and space into our hearts. If we step out of our world of time, how will nur enter into the heart? You have to be careful. Do not depart from the system of time. Otherwise, nur is not going to enter into your heart. But from the time you return to the system of time that Allah has ordained, life is going to be different. You're no longer going to experience time moving faster and faster. faster and faster. A whole year passing like a month, a whole month like a week, a whole week like a day, etc. From the time you move out of the system of time, not only will time move faster, but you will lose the capacity to think. You will lose the capacity to think. And so it is the system of time that Allah has ordained that you must look for the moon with the naked eyes. And when the moon is seen, then you fast. If the moon is not seen, I'm having to repeat this 100,000 times for people who have been sleeping or eating biryani and going home and sleep. Trying to teach them now. If the moon is not seen, then the month will continue for one more day. Okay? If you fasted when you were not supposed to fast, that the month of Ramadan was commenced, you commenced it when it had not really commenced. You've done something very wrong. You could destroy not only all your fasting, but also lose your Laylatul Qadr. So what should you do now? Answer, make tawbah. Seek forgiveness from Allah. Commit yourself never to repeat this monstrous mistake. Be more careful in the future and pray that Allah might accept your tawbah and forgive you. And then proceed to fast with the way we are fasting, counting the days as we are counting the days. Next question.
Okay, what is your take on IMF, World Bank, and FATF takeover of financial policy in Islamic countries? They push for an autonomous central bank by pressuring the governments.
They have already taken over the world of Islam. The IMF, the World Bank, the monetary system, the banking system, they've already taken over the world of Islam. We've lost our freedom long ago. Our governments no longer represent us, they represent them. What should we do? How can we recover our freedom? The road to freedom, the road to recovery of integrity, the road for this ummah to once again play the role that Allah has ordained that it should play. When Nabi Saleh Islam returns, for example, is a road which commences by restoring the scholars of Islam. Unless and until we can produce the authentic scholarship, Islamic scholarship, unless we can produce authentic scholars of Islam for this age, there will be no recovery. We don't have any uh, priesthood in Islam. There are no clerics. I despise that word, clerics, when applied to Islam, to the Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, because he didn't leave us any priesthood. No. And our Darul Uloom is like a university, but now it has become a seminary. Seminary. You have the Christian seminaries which produce priests. And so our Darul Uloom is now producing equivalent of priests. But the Darul Uloom is supposed to be equivalent of a university, not a seminary. A Darul Uloom pursues all the knowledge. Yes, you should have scientists coming out of the Darul Uloom. Yes, you should have people with expertise in optics and astronomy and all these things, mathematics coming out of the Darul Uloom. That's how it used to be until Dajjal came along and transformed our Darul Uloom from being universities to being seminaries. Okay. Um, what was the question?
You were talking about IMF and
Yes.
everything.
The road to restoring our freedom is not by struggling now to get rid of the IMF, because that's not possible. Struggling to get rid of the World Bank, that's not possible. Struggling to restore gold and silver as money, that's not possible. The road has to be bringing back once again the authentic scholar of Islam, with whom the people will have respect for, and they will recognize the scholarship and the integrity of these men. And these can't be men with backbones made of recycled paper. They're scared to say, oh, there are three kinds of lies. There are normal lies, and then there are great lies, and then there's 9/11. No, 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 Sheikh, we can't talk like that. If we talk like that, they will say we are terrorists. If we talk like that, they put our names on a no-fly list. No, 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 we have to be politically correct. Oh, yes. But our prophet said that in the end time there'll be great liars. So beware. And so when you accept that the American government is speaking the truth on 9/11 because you're too scared to speak otherwise, can we depend upon you? Is that scholarship? Can we trust you? We can't trust you with that. Can we trust you with anything else? Huh? You're just a schoolboy. You're not a scholar. The scholar who is going to lead the Muslims tomorrow must have a backbone made of steel. He must stand up for what is truth, regardless of the price he has to pay. And he has to stand up against what is wrong and false and injustice and oppression and a mountain of lies, regardless of the price he has to pay. We used to have scholars like that once upon a time. So if we are to recover our freedom, freedom from the IMF, freedom from the World Bank, freedom from the political and economic tentacles which have now been gripping us. And this is my subject because I've studied international relations, I've studied international politics in two universities. I've studied international economics, international monetary economics in two universities. This is my subject. If we are to recover our freedom, we have to do it by restoring the institutions of Islamic learning, which can once again produce the true scholar of Islam, and that is my life's mission. My teacher did not live to see what he dreamed of, but that dream is being fulfilled today because no one is going to stop me. So long as I have life, I'm going to keep on struggling. And you will have to build it because I'm too old now. You will have to build it, my sons and my daughters around the world. That future Scottish institutions of Islamic learning that Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari dreamed of when he established the Alimia Institute of Islamic Studies in Karachi, Pakistan. And I was one of the first students there to join that institute in 1964. And he lived for only 10 years, 1964 to 1974. And those were the 10 glorious years of that institute. And once he died, that's it, it finished. From 1974 to this day, the Alimi Institute has produced nothing comparable to what it was producing when he was alive. Nothing. And so we have to restore the institutions of Islamic learning that we used to have once upon a time that will produce the true scholars of Islam. And a true scholar of Islam in this age has to be one who not only recognizes the reality of the world today, its political reality, its economic reality, its strategic reality from the Quran and respond to it authentically from the Quran. Thank you. Next question? Or is
Last
enough?
question.
Last question.
5G and vaccines.
5G and vaccine. I don't can't answer that in 1 minute. I think we have to
We can do that
postpone.
next session.
We postpone that to another session, inshallah. May Allah bless you all, and may you have a blessed Ramadan. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.